Hey everyone, my name is Audra Masterclass and I'm one of the judges on MasterChef Singapore. Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite dishes. Now this is something that I created and it's actually a recipe in my second cookbook, Cook and Feast. This beautiful dish here, and it's got all these beautiful layers and it really showcases what we can do with just vegetables. Right guys, to start off with, we're going to cook the rice. In here I've got some garlic, star anise, cloves, dried chili, because dried chili actually gives a very different flavor to fresh chili. Almost gives you a really nice smoky flavor. I've also got a couple of quills of cinnamon and beautiful fresh curry leaves. Now curry leaves actually add intense flavor to a dish and I really like putting a lot of it. So I've probably got about 2 stalks of it in there. So what you want to get here is the fragrance of all the elements that you've actually put in here, right? So give it a bit of a fry. So now that this is in, I'm going to add my dried spices. Cumin, I've got coriander, ground coriander, and turmeric. Now turmeric can be pretty bitter if you add too much of it, so just be a little bit gentle. This adds a light fragrance but also good color, right? So let's stir this around. What we're doing here is we're just making a dry spice masala base. It's going to add a pinch of salt, yeah? Salt brings out the flavor of spices. So if you put spices into a dish, no salt, it's pretty bland. All right, so now what we do, spices have all gone in, our rice goes in. So this is basmati rice. I love basmati rice. It's got a really kind of a sweet flavor to it. So I'm just gonna give it a bit of a stir, make sure all the rice is coated with the spices. So what I've got here is pui lentils. It's pre-cooked and it's still got a little bit of a bite. You don't want to overcook your lentils at this point in time because this is going to go into the rice and it's going to continue cooking. Lentils go in. Now water goes in. Lid on, and I'm going to drop it right down to a low simmer. Now, what I don't want to do is put way too much water in here because don't forget, it's got to then go into a pie and cook again, yeah? Now we're going to move to the masala. Over here, I've got an eggplant. Now, I love eggplant, and the best way to eat eggplant, in my opinion, is to char it. Before we work on the eggplant, I'm going to show you what to do with these very kind of tasteless, not very exciting items called zucchinis or squash, right? I want some beautiful grilled char lines on this. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to actually show you how to process this eggplant. We want the flesh, we don't want the skin. An easier way to do it, I'm just going to butterfly it and then use a spoon to scrape it off. I'm just going to very gently halve it, maybe turn it into quarters. That's all I'm going to do because I still want those pieces. I don't want it to be a mushy mess, right? All right, next step, let's cook the masala vegetables. I've got garlic, ginger, green chilies, onions. These are the basic elements that goes into a lot of different curries, right? And it is the most divine elements. And then throw in curry leaves, even better. So make sure you cook it until it's really nicely caramelized. That'll give you intense sweetness. And at this point, we add in the dried spices. So I've got chili powder. I'm just gonna go a couple of teaspoons. Got cumin, ground coriander. I've got some turmeric again for really good color as well. And also what I'm gonna add in here is a little bit of cinnamon. So just bear in mind, all these spices that I'm using, say for the cumin and coriander, I've used seeds, toasted them, and ground them up. So what you want to see here is some darkness, some richness, right? So once you smell all this goodness and you can smell the spices and all, the toasty spices, your vegetables go in. So the zucchini goes in, then your eggplant go in. If you look at the texture and consistency, it's really wet. All the vegetables are coated with the spices and the rempah that we've cooked earlier. Right, final elements for a bit of freshness. I've got here coriander. I love coriander. And make sure you use a sharp knife when you're cutting through herbs because you'll actually cut them instead of bruising them, right? Okay, I've got a lime here. Lime adds immense amount of flavor to dishes like this. Do this right at the end. because you're not actually cooking the lime zest, you're just adding it in. Chop up a little bit of lime. Okay. And finally, my chopped coriander goes in. Now I'm gonna fold it. Just give it that final fold. So I've got my rice here. What I'm gonna add into this now are a number of essential items. I've got here onions, fried onions. Now, fried onions is a must. So a little bit of this is gonna go, actually, I'm just gonna put the whole lot in because I love it. Just flavors the dish so much more. Over here, I've also got pine nuts that's been toasted. Pine nuts is brilliant with this dish. If you can't get pine nuts, pistachios would work as well. Cashew nuts would also work. Almonds, possibly as well, but not things like walnuts and stuff. Those are too strong for this dish. So I'm just gonna put a handful of pine nuts in. Currants, raisins, anything like that would be really brilliant as well. Finally, coriander. Now, start folding. Don't stir, just fold. Right, the final step. This is when it all comes together. So, if you're intolerant to dairy, yes, you can use oil. Olive oil would probably be a good one to use. I've got here phyllo pastry. I want an overhang, so I'm actually gonna do 2 sheets. I'm gonna slowly press this in. I'm gonna take some butter, roughly. In total, I'm gonna use about 4 sheets. Spoon your rice into the base. Now the masala goes in. Oh, look at this, guys. Look at how rich and beautiful this is. Another layer of the rice. You know, from the traditional Moroccan dish to this, the concept's the same, but all these elements are quite close to my heart because of my Indian heritage. Final layer goes on top. So, we're done now. What you want to do is bring all those overhanging bits and you kind of just want to let it fall, okay? Don't press it down, just let it fall. Gently bring it up, let it fall. And this is it. We're going to put this whole thing in the oven, about 180 degrees, for about 30 to 45 minutes or until it turns super nice and golden. Voila, guys, look at this. This is the finished product of the pie. Now, the final thing you have to do, I've got here cinnamon and icing sugar. This is a must because this is what a pastilla is all about, the traditional element. And I've kept it super traditional right at the end. So we take a little bit of icing sugar. We dust it over the top. Then delicious cinnamon, look at this. And this will actually just make it smell so nice. Ah, delicious. Okay, I'm just gonna cut through it now. Oh, can you hear all those crispy bits? Voila, guys, look at this. There you go, guys. This is my chaat masala vegetable and phyllo pie. It's super delicious. If you can see all the beautiful layers, there you go.